Hi, it's Amanda from Always in Love. We're back with another review today. Today we're doing Girl on Tour by Caisey Quinn. It is the second book in the Kylie Ryan's series. You should start with the first one, but this one's pretty great too. And Ethel Jo is here to tell you about it.
So, Girl on Tour is kind of left off on Girl with Guitar, and Kylie actually goes on tour with two other ladies, Mia and Lily, and they're on tour, and she's in her own little tour world, and Trace is on tour, but then he's stuck with a chick, Gretchen Gibson, and he's kind of stuck with her, and he has to go through this whole thing, and they're separated. Here's two people in love, but they're on separate tours across hundreds of miles, of thousands of miles, and they have to kind of get through all of it. And it's kind of like where social media kind of really messes with one's head. And Trace always tell Kylie never look on the internet, and Kylie just kind of doesn't want to do it. And so they go through this whole thing, and Trace is struggling with his own addictions, and they kind of just have to focus on if their relationship's going to last on tour or if it's not going to last for tour. And so that's kind of the whole thing, Girl on Tour. It's Kylie coming of age, kind of, even though she's young, she's kind of like going through the steps of it. And Trace really steps up on this. He's, like he always says, he's a whiskey. He gets better as time goes on. And I really like that quote. And I know Amanda and I were just talking about that quote. And it's just one of those things that this book kind of is like the filling an Oreo cookie. It's just like, it's there and you kind of have to have it before you get to the end. And I think Girl on Tour just really has so much going in on it. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's great. This book, I really like that this is a three-part series because, like the Oreo, you have like the first one where you kind of meet them and you kind of just get a little bit of story, but the second one is like really the meat of the story. Like
Mm-hmm.
really come to
It is.
really come to the relationship and the ups and downs and the you really get to see and focus on that in this book, and it's great. And that brings me to why Trace is our book boyfriend for this book. He's really great in this book. Like he's been on, he's more seasoned, and he's really trying to help her navigate so she doesn't come through the same problems and issues that he did. And he really is trying, he's fighting all of his demons and trying to become a better man for her too during this entire book. And it's such a great, powerful story from them to both, coming up through this social media world that's basically, like paparazzi and things like that, trying to tear them apart, and really how they respond to it. Uh,
And I think that's kind of cool about that is that is that whole, that aspect of it. That is, this is the meat of the story.
yeah, and there's the other characters she talked about. There's Lily Tate, who so they put together this all-girl tour for Vitamin Water, and she's on it with Lily Tate, which is the like a pop star kind of that sort of does poppy country type stuff, and then there's Mia Montgomery, who has been likened to like a
Like a Star Search.
yeah, she kind of won like the country star type program. So she, I guess, sort of like a Miranda Lambert who came up that way, won the talent show. But she is really, she doesn't really have the stage presence or anything. So it's kind of like a lesser known tour. And then Kylie joins in because of her single with Trace that they recorded and wrote in the last story. And then at the same time, Trace is also kind of fighting his battles because he is put on tour on this that kind of last chance tour with another kind of screw up that the label doesn't like, Gretchen Gibson, who unfortunately has had a lot of issues with drinking and things like that, and done a lot of stupid things on tour. It's kind of put herself in jeopardy on with the label. So it's kind of their last chance to kind of get their recording career back on track.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of unfortunately one of the things that might be a trigger is sort of the alcoholism and things like that, and the drinking and trying to stay away from it. So it's just one of those things to be aware of, but it is really integral to the story. It's really it's handled very well, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, recover and the things that you're facing on tour and day to day. So it's handled really well. So I encourage you to kind of check that out a little bit, and then so the story is the normal ups and downs. These two people that are separated by thousands and thousands of miles on 2 different buses. They can only talk when their schedules sync up, through Skype and all different kinds of things. I mean, I know that you go on business trips with your, and you have to Skype with your family a lot. So how is like a relationship when you have to do that kind of thing?
You have to schedule time for it because when you travel, and I travel with my company, it's different time zones. So we're in a different time zone where I am now. And even today, you and I doing this. So we have to like schedule it. And sometimes those schedules don't work. So texting is the best. Early mornings are the only time technically we can get together because by the time I get done with meetings and dinners, you can never do it. And so I understand, like for this, it was, yes, they're in music and I'm just a business person. So it's completely different, but I understand how to connect with your loved ones when you're traveling. And it's really, I think that's why I really appreciate Caisey's writing is because a lot of it's so real. And working with my friends that are in the music world, they're in the Austin, Texas music world. I was talking to one of them and he's like, oh my gosh, this is so like us. Yes, there's the drinking, there's, all these other things that's going on, but you also have a family. And a lot of the guys, they do have families and they're away from them. And there's social media and people make up stuff just because I'm out to dinner with another man. It's like, oh, you're sidestepping on your better half. I'm not. I'm actually just in a business meeting with an opposite sex or vice versa. It's just, and that's what I really like how Caisey wrote it because it's realistic.
Well, and the cool thing about this book is that it came out in 2013, so it was before social media kind of is even
Yeah.
crazy it is today. But it still plays such a great role in this book that it's really played well. It's really stuck with the story and everything, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. So it's a really a fact of life, unfortunately, when it comes to relationships like this, and that was great. So that brings me to our rating for this book. We definitely think that Girl on Tour and Trace Corbin is a top shelf book boyfriend.
Yeah.
Definitely 5 stars. Highly recommend you pick up the series and the rest of everything. You should see the links for the other books in other works by Caisey in the comments. Check out our brand new Facebook page. Like us. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be in the comments. We post quite a bit about things that are coming up and things that we're planning and that sort of stuff. And hopefully, we'll be back next week with another review with the last book in the series.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you later. Subscribe.